Hello and welcome to MidSouth Matters on Germantown Municipal Television and to our special election broadcast featuring candidates for the Germantown Municipal School Board. I'm your host, Ruth Dunning. My guest today is Natalie Williams. Natalie and her husband, Scott, have been residents of Germantown since 2010. They have two children, Nate and Noah, who attend Germantown schools. Natalie earned a bachelor's degree and a Master of Education degree from the University of Georgia. She also has an EDS in reading from Baylor University. Natalie has spent her professional career in school systems across the country. She's taught at the elementary, high school, and university levels. Currently, she is the reading specialist at the Bodine School in Germantown and is the current incumbent on the Germantown Municipal School Board, position 3. Welcome. We're so happy you're here, Natalie.
I'm happy to be here as well, and it's good to see you again.
Thank you. First question. Of what are you most proud in your 4 years on the board as the incumbent? Things, plural. What things are you most proud?
Well, when I look back to December of 2013, after the first election, and we had the 5 board members, and we looked at each other and thought, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make this happen? We started by hiring a superintendent who hired an exceptional staff, and we got our doors open in August of 2014. So that is something that hasn't been done in the state of Tennessee in decades. So that certainly is something that the entire community can be proud of, that we got behind. Since that time, I think the capital improvements that we've done at the school, that we've made the deferred maintenance a priority, taking care of the roof at Dogwood and the HVAC at Dogwood and the paving and the addition at Riverdale.
Those aren't glamorous things, but they certainly needed to be done.
Absolutely. I think Germantown residents have an expectation of what they want their community to look like and what they want their buildings to look like. And we've worked hand in hand with our Board of Mayor and Aldermen to make sure that those projects were a priority and that they were funded. So I'm certainly proud of that. On the academic side, I'm very proud of the expansion of the STEM programs and the foreign language and the fine arts programs that we've put at all grade levels, elementary, middle, and high school. We've seen an increase in our career and tech enrollment, so students are exploring more options there. We have a very rich program there. The Leadership Academy at the high school and the Junior Honors Academy at the middle school level. We've put interventionists in place at all schools to help those students who were struggling, but also those students that need enrichment. So I think that we have done an exceptional job academically in just our first 2 years, and I'm excited about what's to come.
Tell me about the ACT scores.
So we are very proud of our students, the work of our students and teachers. For the first 2 years of GMSD, our students earned the highest average ACT score in the state of Tennessee, 2 years in a row. And that speaks volumes about the quality of education that our students are receiving here in Germantown schools. Once a student earns a 21, they have access to Tennessee Promise and Hope Scholarship. So to know that we're preparing our students for that next step is very exciting.
Good, good. What would you like now to see happen in the next 4 years? What are priorities?
We as a board and a district spent 18 months putting together a 5-year strategic plan. The board unanimously approved that plan back in May. So we are just beginning to implement a lot of that vision for our district. The 5 different pieces of that, one is maximize student potential. And so I'd really like to see us continue to tweak the RTI, the intervention process that we've put in place to continue to maximize student potential for our students that are excelling, our students that are struggling, and even the students that are hitting all the targets. So that's something that I'd like to see us do. Retaining teachers, developing teachers is another arm of that strategic plan. And having been a teacher for over 20 years, I feel like I can lend a lot to that discussion. Currently, our hire rate is 8%, which means we have hundreds of people applying for open positions. So we are a destination place to teach. And once the teachers come here, we want to make sure they have access to quality professional development. Another piece of that strategic plan is 21st century schools and classrooms. And I think with the addition at Riverdale and some of the classroom crasher activities that we've done with our teachers.
Explain a crasher activity.
So we had our teachers applied for access to monies to renovate or redo their classrooms to make them 21st century. And we had a committee made up of me as a board member. There were some teachers and parents and district office members on this committee, and we looked at their proposals, not just redoing necessarily the paint and the desks and getting computers, but how does that advance our students academically? How are they going to use that to engage students and move them forward? So they had pictures, they had to write an essay, and so our committee looked over all of those and granted 2 different teachers classroom makeovers. We called it classroom crashers. And during the summer, we had teams of people go in and implement their vision, and they were surprised when they returned to school to see their classroom being made over. I'd like to see us expand that a little bit more, maybe work with the foundation. Maybe the board could even sponsor an additional classroom so that we can continue to expand that. But I think with the Riverdale expansion, we've added some modular classrooms at the elementary school, and we had the teachers' input there. Again, what type of furniture, what type of technology, what type of classroom setup is going to be most beneficial for students.
Good. That sounds exciting. Tell me what went into that classroom other than computers and desks and whiteboards and...
The teachers talked about the paint color, the color of the room, some of them would, and which one they felt would be most appropriate for learning. There was some focus on that. There were touchscreen boards. There were different types of whiteboards. Obviously, the choice of desk was very interesting because they wanted things that could be versatile, that could be grouped together very easily for group work, but they also wanted students to be able to do individual work or paired work. So the desks were easily changed about and mobile. They had different types, not just traditional desks, but they had like sofa type seating. They had seating where the students could stand. You know, I noticed as a reading specialist myself, when you're working with students, a lot of them do like to stand when they work, and they seem to be more productive. My husband has a stand-up desk that he enjoys. So just having flexible seating is probably the best term for it, and just that vision and knowing that students engage in different ways. We saw a lot of that implemented as well.
Very interesting. The whole concept is fascinating. So, anything else that you'd like to see done now in the next 4 years in your program?
I think our biggest challenge going forward is capacity and growth. We have seen our growth numbers far exceed what were predicted 2 years ago, which is exciting to know that families want to be a part of our system. We have over 500 resident students at the elementary level that need brick and mortar solution. So we have just started the conversation with our community to choose a site for an additional school. So
And this is an elementary school?
It will be either an elementary or a K-8 school. We're at the beginning of the discussion on that. We've got to find a site and go through the design with our community groups, look at the growth numbers, and figure out, moving forward, what's the best solution. So I think that's going to be a very exciting time for Germantown. We've never had this opportunity to build our own school, to design our own school. It's always been something that the county did. So I think engaging the community is going to get us to the best school, the best site, and the best solution possible.
I know there's been some dispute about the location of this school. Are there some alternative locations that are under consideration? And if so, where are those?
We had our first community forum about a week ago here at the high school, And we presented the community with all the research that had been done so far on the different real estate sites. And they dove in and they ranked those sites, and they talked about their preferences, and all that information is going to come back to us as a board. There were 15 potential sites. Some are available, some are not. We heard from some groups we'd like to see, is there anything else out there that hasn't been explored? So I think that we are definitely open to listening to the community and making sure that we do find the best site for our school. We want our parents to be confident and comfortable where they send their students, and I think that's important.
Right. Backing up just a little bit to the whole 3G schools concept, Germantown Elementary, Middle, and High School. Is there any talk of those becoming part of the Germantown system?
Yes, the mayor has called it a two-track plan, looking at a new elementary or K-8 school, but also acquiring Germantown Elementary and Middle, which would provide that K-8 capacity. And I believe we need to pursue both tracks. Based on the growth numbers that we've seen, I believe that we're going to need those facilities. In terms of a timeline of when we can acquire those, I don't know that I can answer that, but I'm fully supportive of the conversations. I'm fully supportive of us acquiring those schools at a future date. My understanding is Shelby County Schools is looking at their numbers. They've brought in a consultant to look at their footprint and try to figure out where they might need to rezone, or what schools might need to be open and closed. And I think once those decisions come to a forefront, that would be an opportunity to continue that discussion.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Our time has just disappeared, and we hope all goes well, and we hope the schools thrive.
Thank you, me too.
Okay. I'd like to thank Natalie Williams for taking the time out of her day to be on the show and sharing her vision for Germantown, the board, and the Board of Education Position 3. Stay tuned for more interviews with other candidates running for the Germantown Board of Education.